Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, as one chapter closes, another one begins. Larry's Last is a 10% Imperial Oatmeal Stout from Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan. If you follow craft beer, and especially the craft beer scene here in Michigan, you probably already know that Larry Bell, the founder of Bell's Beer, has announced that he sold his business and that he's retiring. So this is Larry's Last, and it's a nod to one of the earliest beers that Larry brewed. So let's see if this is a fitting tribute to a legendary brewer and a Michigan beer pioneer. But first, I'd like to thank my executive producers, Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, Vinnie Cat, and Cam Freeman for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks that are available only to patrons. Let's take a look at the label. Let's take a look at the beer. If we start from the top, from the overhead, you can see it's the old school black cap. It says Bell's, it has the 3 bells on it. If we look at the front from the top, we see the Bell's Comstock, Michigan logo across the neck of the bottle. Underneath, we see Larry Bell here. He's got a nice smile on his face. It says Larry's Last, and he's holding a beer. I can't tell what it is. I think I've actually sat in this the same section of the Eccentric Cafe. Underneath that, it says Imperial Oatmeal Stout, brewed and bottled by Bell's Brewery Incorporated in Comstock, Michigan. On the back here, it simply says, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who supported me and Bell's from the beginning. It's been a fun ride. Cheers, Larry J. Bell. And then underneath that, it has a government warning. The deposit information tells you this is shelf life unlimited. The ABV is 10% by volume, as I mentioned earlier. And this was packaged on January 24th, 2022. Now, it only seems fitting that I use this Bell's large snifter style glass. We're going to crack it, put a nose on it, talk about the aroma, all that good stuff. I just love cracking a bottle. I know that cans are all the thing these days, and you know, maybe with the shortages and whatnot, we'll go back to bottles, but I just love seeing the vapor come out of the top of a nice freshly cracked bottle. Getting really like deep roasty malty notes out of the bottle here. Let's go ahead and pour it. Coming pretty dark. It's just slightly transparent on the pour. Collecting in the bottle here. We're just gonna down the hatch there. Not a whole lot of head. That I kind of took it cautious on the pour for whatever reason. I've got just barely maybe a quarter of a finger of head here. It didn't really do a whole lot. It just kind of poured in there. If we hold it up to the light, very dark. A little bit of a reddish kind of brown hue to it. Holding fingers in front of it, not seeing nothing. Looks pretty dark to you too, I'm sure. There's just a slight ring of some bubbles around it. I did see some carbonation. You can see it just kind of rising right into the head here. Let's put a nose on the glass. Yeah, just a bit of a kind of a dark fruit aroma to it. Really roasty, malty characteristics. It has like a bit of a leathery kind of smell as well. Let's go ahead and try it out. Cheers. As always, we start with the mouthfeel. The mouthfeel's a little bit on the, it's kind of leaning a little bit towards heavy. It's kind of still, I would consider this still in a medium kind of category, but leaning very much on the heavy medium to almost like light heavy. Let's talk about the flavor here. I know that's very specific, but let's talk about the flavor. Getting lots of roasty malt flavor, lots of roasty, lots of toasty, even has like a toasty, bready kind of flavor to it. And on the finish, it kind of actually mellows out on the finish and picks up a bit of a sweetness. So you get a lot of that. You get a little bit of a dark fruit, a little bit of a lot of roasty, again, a lot of toasty, a little bit of like a almost toasted biscuity kind of flavor in there, but a little bit of a sweetness kind of rolls up in the back too. Maybe a little bit of like a raisin. I mean, that is like, yeah, like I said, it's really got those nice roasty, toasty kind of malts. You're getting that dark fruit. You're getting a little bit of a raisin up on the up front. On the finish, on the swallow, that's when that kind of toasty, more toasty, biscuity kind of flavor comes up. And again, there's just a little like lingering sweetness that comes on the aftertaste. It kind of just sits in the back. It's almost, as I kind of talk and a little bit aerates a little bit more, I'm getting more of like a just kind of straight up toast vibe out of it. But yeah, as my tongue, you know, as I kind of talk and it kind of just sits on my tongue a little bit, there's a little bit of a maybe almost like a black licorice kind of flavor in here. I'm really curious about the temperature of this. So stouts are generally like between, you know, 50 and 60. I think 50 and 55 is kind of like the general where you want to be. So I'm just kind of gonna see what the temp here is, because it's a little bit, I let this sit out a little bit, and we're looking at about, it's slowing down here. Just gonna stop it because I've had it in there long enough. 53.8 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty much like what you want to taste, you know, how you want to taste a beer like this, so you can pick up all the different kind of notes. But yeah, it's definitely in like a traditional oatmeal stout kind of style. It has that oaty kind of vibe to it. Again, you're getting that dark fruit. You're getting like massive toasty kind of roasty flavors, nice toasted malt flavors, getting that kind of, like I said, that toasty, biscuity flavor as well. But yeah, just tasting a lot of toast, a lot of kind of smoky characteristics even on the finish. You get a little bit of a sweetness. Like I said, there's like a raisin, there's a dark fruit. It's just overall like a really nice vibe, really very traditional style stout. Nothing, no adjuncts, straight up stout. So it's nice, and it's high, you know, it's 10% ABV, and you really don't taste it. It's masked really well. I don't know if Larry's like original, you know, beer that this was inspired by, if they were to have 10%, if it would be hidden so well. Obviously, you know, 38 years or however long it was that he founded Bell's, like, you know, a lot's happened. A lot of technologies happened. A lot of kind of brewing, you know, best practices have probably kind of gone over, and you can probably hide ABV pretty well in a beer these days. But I think, you know, as far as stouts go, it's a great throwback. It's a great, you know, this is how stouts were before we started adding, you know, barrel age this and, you know, peanut butter that and chocolate this and X, Y, and Z and all these different adjuncts thrown into it. It's just great to taste a straight, you know, non-adjunct stout. And I think it's really, honestly, a perfect way for Larry to go out and have a beer like this be his last beer, or be, you know, the last beer that they release as Bell's, being independent, not under New Belgium. So New Belgium. So it's nice to see a straight up beer like this come to market that you can enjoy. And I don't know if this is a Michigan exclusive thing or if it's going to make its way outside of the state, but it's nice to see a beer like this be, you know, like I said, a Michigan beer pioneer. His send-off is a great, just traditional Imperial Oatmeal Stout in this whole flavor profile. Mouth feels great, and just a great flavor overall for a beer like this. All right, friends, that has been Larry's Last, an Imperial Oatmeal Stout. Have you had this beer? Do you think more of Bell's as like a stout brewery or an IPA brewery? Maybe just an everything kind of brewery? And what's the first Bell's beer that you can remember drinking? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite, or you might be able to avoid a clunker if you're subscribed and getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. Most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. And thanks, Larry, for all the great beer, all the great memories that we've all kind of shared around these different beers. And I just want to say I appreciate everything that you've done in bringing craft beer to kind of the masses here in Michigan. Just doing a great job and putting beer, you know, distributing your beer to 48 different states. So, you know, I think it's 48. Could be totally wrong. Don't quote me on that. I don't work for Bell's, but just a great career, and thanks so much for everything. Cheers.